So a podcaster falsely claims that JuJu Watkins would have got over 20 million views if she made the NCAA tournament final. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our channel. I'm Mark.
And I'm Rob.
So, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do so you get notified of our next video. And guess what? Caitlin Clark's crossover is every Monday and Thursday, 6 to 7 and 5:30 to 6:30 Eastern time, respectively. And you can join us. It's like a sports reporters type forum. We have guest podcasters. Everyone knows who Dave Portnoy is. He started Barstools, I guess it was named, and he became rich off of that. And he's a big Caitlin Clark fan. And he posted this. I'll read it for you in case people can't read it. It's maybe too small. Dave Portnoy said, "I'm going to need all the race baiters who explain Caitlin Clark's popularity simply because she's white to explain why 10 million more people watched her last year than Paige Beckers, who's also white, this year. I'll hang up and listen." And he shows 18.9 million viewers compared to 8.5 million viewers. So this guy saw this and he said, "Wow, this is wrong, and here's why."
First thing that you have to examine is Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. A lot fewer, over 5 million fewer than 2024.
All right. First of all, he gets the numbers wrong. So you saw the graph up there, Rob, where they actually it was over 10 million, right? So listen to what he says, how he twists this around. Listen to this.
Not fewer, over 5 million fewer than
5 million viewer. No, it's 10 million.
10 million.
The graph's right in front of you on his screen.
How can you post something and then you don't even remember what you posted?
It's so stupid. 5 million, if you take their peak as opposed to the other's average, it's 5 million. But then you have to go to the peak of the other one, which was 22 million. So it was still 10 million. So it's crazy. All right. Anyways, let's go on.
2024. So, yes, the Caitlin Clark effect is undeniable. But there's actually a twist to this year's story.
But he's going to try to deny it, just so you know.
People are not talking about. And I do understand that Dave was specifically talking about Paige Beckers versus Caitlin Clark. So, why weren't the ratings as strong? I thought it was just because Caitlin Clark is white. First thing that you have to examine is JuJu Watkins, because JuJu Watkins is the Caitlin Clark this year. It's not.
No, she's not.
Wrong. No, she's not. Wrong.
That's what you wanted to say she is. That's what the black media is pushing, but she wasn't. But go ahead. All right, we'll let him talk.
Go ahead.
Paige Beckers. JuJu Watkins was the most hyped, most watched, most entertaining women's college basketball player.
All right, let's break that down. Most hyped, yes, by the black media. Absolutely. In fact, overhyped, Rob.
Right. She was way overhyped.
Okay, so we'll give him that one.
Right.
Most watched?
No.
Not at all, Rob. I will tell you what the numbers are, okay? So for home attendance for UConn was 10,026 on an average, which was second in the country. South Carolina was first. I'm just giving UConn first because that's Paige. And Paige is the one that made the finals. For USC, the average attendance was 5,932, which was only 12th in the country. So she wasn't the most watched. She was actually the 12th most watched. Most watched goes more by TV. So let's evaluate the TV. The two most viewed games this year involved University of Connecticut and Paige Beckers. It was against USC. Fine. So we give half the credit to JuJu Watkins. But the next game was in regular season was UConn versus South Carolina. Not JuJu Watkins' game was not the second most viewed. So in terms of regular season viewership, Paige Beckers outdrew JuJu Watkins throughout the year. Now, let's go to the NCAA tournament, Rob. And I covered this in another video having to do with JuJu Watkins, but I'm also going to put in the Paige Beckers numbers so you get an idea on what's going on. And these are kind of important, what he says in the future, in the rest of the video. So just as a reminder, it was only 0.89 million for JuJu in the round of 64, and Paige was 1.1 million, and Caitlin Clark was 3.4 million. But she was almost 4 times more than JuJu Watkins. Keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. She was 4 times as much. Right. And then next round, this is where JuJu gets injured, but people watched, because the game started already. She got 1.3 million, which was actually down 26%, not from Caitlin Clark, but 26% from her own round the year before. And Paige was down like 30%, and hers was 1.7 million. Caitlin Clark was 5.15 million, which again was 4 times more than what JuJu Watkins got. So keep that in mind when we go through this video. So Paige was outdrawing in the regular season and during the playoffs more than JuJu Watkins, and Caitlin Clark was 4 times what JuJu Watkins was before that. So just remember that as we listen to more of this video. And he also said most exciting. And Rob, I don't think she was the most exciting. I think Hannah Hidalgo was. And judging from the comments I saw, other people thought Hannah Hidalgo was. But that's a personal opinion. I can't.
No, I mean, Mark, it's not a personal opinion. It's a fact that she wasn't that exciting. She was.
I agree.
I mean, people actually got to the point where she's a ball hog, which she was. She would just drive in, and I think I mentioned that to drawing the fouls. She would get the ball, and even though her teammates were open, she would just still force it in there to try to draw the foul, a la, James Harden. But that's not exciting. That's not exciting basketball. You get the ball, drive in, you get fouled. How's that exciting?
No one said James Harden was exciting when he was doing that in the NBA.
No.
They thought they thought that was annoying that he was getting those calls too. And I agree, Rob. I don't find her an exciting player. I don't think she's second. Hannah Hidalgo was, like, to me, 3 times more exciting than her. And yeah, she can be exciting at times. She makes some nice defensive plays. She's smooth and polished. I like that about her game. It's somewhat exciting, but not really. I mean,
her game is boring, Mark. She's going to be a great ball player, but her game is basics is boring. Unless she improves on. If she starts making nice passes and assists, then maybe she might be a little more exciting.
So was she hyped by the public? No. Was she hyped by ESPN and other black media like him? Yes. So most hyped is irrelevant to the conversation. All that matters is most watched and most exciting. That's all that matters.
Right.
All right. So we'll go on.
This year, ankle breakers, fade away.
What ankle breakers? What she doesn't have a fadeaway jumper, Rob.
She's never fade away. She's
ankle breakers. Euro step. I never saw an ankle breaker by her, Rob.
I don't know.
She's just making things up now.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what else he has.
Commercials everywhere.
That's true.
Then that matters. The sophomore at USC. She led the nation in scoring.
Okay. She was 4th in the nation in scoring, Rob. You doesn't know basic facts.
How can she live? I mean, it's amazing, Mark, and I'm glad we call these podcasters out. They just say crazy stuff and don't even do any kind of research. And even saying that, you wouldn't have to even know about that to know that she was not the leading scorer in the NCAA.
Yeah, a casual fan knew Tanaya Latson was at this point.
Right.
So, but he's just saying all these things that aren't factually true is part of his argument. So,
right.
All right. Let's go on.
30 pieces like it was nothing. She got all the juice, charisma.
No, she didn't get all the juice.
No, she didn't get all the juice. No.
Commercials, Hollywood lights, killer instinct, everything. But here's the thing. JuJu tore her ACL in the Elite 8. So imagine if...
Actually, Rob, she didn't tore her ACL in the Elite 8. She tore it in the second round. In the round of 32, he's 2 rounds off.
Yeah.
How many things are wrong here?
I mean, what is this? You just spew thing out and just expect people to believe you.
Right. I know. It's a joke. All right.
If JuJu Watkins was healthy, you would have potentially USC facing off against Don Staley.
All right. First of all, she has to beat, and USC has to beat UConn. And the way UConn finished the year, Rob, that wasn't happening in my opinion.
It was not happening. There's no way they would have beaten UConn.
Gino would have figured out the proper defense to contain JuJu, and the rest of the players around her were not good enough for them to beat UConn, Rob.
Well, I mean, it's easy, Mark. You see her; she's selfish. So what are you going to do?
Double team her.
Some games I saw that. That's you saw the turnovers. You double team her. She's all on the right hand side. When she's bringing the ball down, it's on the right hand side.
Right.
So you trap her, and she's got to give up the ball. And usually she was turning the ball over.
Right. Notre Dame figured out how to contain her, Rob. So you don't think Gino can watch that game and figure it out? Like perhaps the greatest basketball women's coach of all time couldn't figure that out. Of course he could. So USC was never getting to the finals, most likely. I mean, I can't say it's 100%, but what the chances were slim. But okay, let's go on. I'd say it was, at least 75% UConn. All right, let's go.
And and South Carolina in the championship game. Now, you don't think that game would have done 20 million plus viewers?
No, I don't think so.
No, I do not. No, I do not.
Rob, let's just picture a trajectory right now that you saw Paige's trajectory go like this in terms of how many viewers they got, right? And it was actually it was higher than JuJu's for the first 2 rounds. And UConn has more of a draw than USC. So no matter what you think, South Carolina is the same team that's going to be in the finals in this particular. Well, no matter what you think, it looks like if you follow the trajectory up the thing, it's going to be lower than what Paige drew. And Paige's story was a good story about being in the, for UConn for 5 years, getting injured twice, and never winning a championship. And that was a big story. That would have drawn that drew a lot of attention. That's why I got a lot of views. This story about JuJu going for her first one is only big for the black commentators, not big for everyone.
Mark, the bottom line is that she's not a Caitlin Clark. She cannot. Neither one of them drew as much as Caitlin Clark, and that's a fact. Because people watch those games because of Caitlin Clark. No one's going to watch the games that much. Like I said, Paige Beckers, nice story. JuJu Watkins, sophomore, nice story. But they weren't as both of them. And Paige wasn't that exciting either.
She's not a super exciting player. She was in high school, supposedly from the highlights I've seen, but she was never as exciting as Caitlin Clark, but she was a little flashier in high school. But yeah, I don't find her that exciting a player. I think she's smooth, but not that exciting.
No.
To be honest. So here's the thing, Rob. If you took and watched how Caitlin Clark's viewership grew last year, it started 4 times higher in both those first 2 rounds that JuJu did. So that's why it got up to 19 million. So if you look at this, probably JuJu, South Carolina would have got around 7 million, not 20 million. If you look, she would have gotten less than what Paige got because she was already lower the first 2 rounds. And she was lower in viewership during the year and also lower in attendance.
I mean, he totally ignores twice his own stats that he even put up there. He totally
his stats are all wrong. He doesn't even know the stats.
Yeah, I didn't even know the stats. So it's just like spewing out these personal, accolades to JuJu Watkins.
Right. It's insane. He thinks that the trajectory, let me see if I can get this sentence great. His trajectory of JuJu Watkins would have gone like this. And then when it got to the finals, it would have gone like this.
Right.
That's what he's saying. He's saying it would have gone like this.
Just was skyrocketed.
It would have gone like this for no reason other than the fact that it's JuJu Watkins. Because Caitlin
took
Clark
off.
like this. Yeah. Like this. And she was way ahead of her.
Took it off.
There's no way. Why would it be higher in the finals if it was 4 times less in the earlier rounds for the same person? It makes absolutely no sense. No, it was exciting to you because you're JuJu Watkins and it wasn't exciting to everybody else. Yes, she would have got some views.
And it's weird, Mark, because just like you just did, you put this out. People are gonna fact check you, and all just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Apparently.
Yeah, right.
He didn't even know what round she got injured, or the fact that she wasn't the leading scorer, or that she wasn't the most viewed.
Right there, yeah, that's 3. That's 3 fact checks right there.
None of that was true. Dave Portney made a good point in terms of Paige. She's white, so if it was all about white, why didn't she get higher views this year?
Right.
So it's a good point. But this doesn't surprise anybody. I've been said all along. I thought Caitlin Clark's popularity was, I don't know, around 10% because she's white. It's something. It's something between 1 and 20%. But the main reason is, and by the way, he does go into why Caitlin Clark is popular, and he breaks it down into 5 different things, and he talks about it. And this is the arguments he made, and this was actually fairly good. except for the fact that he never said that Caitlin Clark was a great player in his 5 arguments. So it wasn't that good in that sense.
No.
He said because she's exciting, she had anti-villains, she had the underdogs, because Iowa was kind of an underdog. They weren't a big school, and had iconic moments, and because of race. That was his 5 reasons. But he never said because she was a great player. The number one reason is combined. There's 2 reasons, but they're combined. Is she's a great player who's also very exciting. That's the number one reason why people watch.
Exactly, Mark. I mean, that's why people started watching her. Like they wouldn't have watched. I mean, people like you're telling people to watch her. People, hey, you got to watch this. You got to watch this player, Caitlin Clark. Hey, you got to watch this. No one was saying that about Paige or about even JuJu. Like, hey, you got to watch this JuJu Watkins. She's an exciting player.
Stephen A. Smith saying that about JuJu, but no one's believing him. That's not following into views, obviously, because I just read you the views after all the promotion, especially the last half of the season, from Stephen A. Smith talking about nonstop about JuJu, just wanted to see JuJu. You would think that the round of 64 and the round of 32, JuJu Watkins' viewership would be through the roof. It wasn't. It was less than Paige's.
Right.
So that's silly.
Well, like I said, even in her the USC during the year, 12th in attendance.
12th in attendance, Robin, over a 2-year period, because they were 3,500 before she entered USC. It barely went up. That's not a lot.
And she went overseas, and they had 3,000 in the arena when they went overseas.
500 people in the arena.
Something like that, yeah.
Caitlin Clark's attendance went up from 7,000 to 15,000 over her career. And the first year didn't even count. So it was really over a 3-year period because they had no fans because of COVID. So
can you imagine if
every game her senior year?
Can you imagine if Iowa had gone overseas that year with Caitlin Clark? Oh, I mean, she'd be blown up even more than she is, Mark.
Her senior year, if they had gone, Rob, it would have been through the roof. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Her junior year, not so much. But yeah, her senior year, yeah, would have gone through. Because junior year, she was well known in the United States, but she wasn't well known internationally yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, we got a comment. By the way, we got a comment today again from someone who said that Caitlin Clark no one knew who Caitlin Clark was until they played LSU in the finals. We got that comment again today in one of our videos, just so I know. I didn't even respond with the facts anymore. I just said we've already debunked this lie and this myth several times, and that was my response to the comment. So, just
it gets old, Mark. It's very old.
But I'm just showing it that Dave Portnoy made a good point. If it's because she's white, why isn't a player who – and they had a good story too. Paige going for her first championship is a very good story. She's likable. UConn is the number 1 school in terms of women's basketball. She had 2 bad injuries, 1 really bad injuries. She made it to the finals before. She made it to the Final Four like every year, and she hadn't won a championship yet. And there's this whole thing about all the great UConn players having a champion. I thought it was a great story. Still only got 8.5 million views.
20.
Even Dawn thought it was a great story. She just was upset her team wasn't getting attention. That's why she had that press conference before.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Rob, let us know what you think down below. Hit that like button if you like this video. And feel free to share with your family, friends, and acquaintances. It will not stop, Rob. By the way, he goes on to say that she definitely would have broken Caitlin Clark's scoring record. There's no indication that's true. She had already played more games than Caitlin. She would have really had up her scoring. Her scoring actually went down from her freshman year to her sophomore year. So there's no indication it would have gone up dramatically for her junior and senior year to break the record. So that's another thing he said that I can't prove that's not true, but it's another thing he just kind of made up that she definitely would have broken it.
Still trying, Mark. Still trying.
They're still trying. Now, someone said that. They said as soon as JuJu got injured, they're going to start saying, this is what would have happened if she hadn't got injured. All this great stuff would have happened. She would have been 3-time player of the year, 3 championships. She would have broken her record. She would have broken all the viewership records if she hadn't got injured. None of that seems to be the indication that's going to would have been true. Because I don't think they would have got by. They wouldn't win the championship this year. I think they would have lost to UConn, like I said.
Right.
So, anyways, let us know. Anyways, hey, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Hit the notification bell when you do, so you get notified of our next video. And join us for Caitlin Clark's crossover. It's every Monday and Thursday, 6 to 7 and 5:30, 6:30, respectively, Eastern time, except for major holidays. It's like a sports reporters type forum with guest podcasters. We talk about Caitlin Clark, and it's real cool. And I'm going to do the live show on this Monday for the WNBA draft. And if you want to donate to this channel, you can with super chats and super thanks down below. And there's a link to PayPal. And we'll see you in the next video.
Peace out.